You know, not only is it Food City Friday, it is also Earth Day. And Kirby Moir, registered dietitian with Food City, is joining us today. And Kirby, Earth Day, a very special day. We're talking about keeping renewable resources, doing all those things that we can to take care of planet Earth.
Yes, and I think we don't always think about our food impact,
Right.
or we call it our food print.
Okay.
Instead of our footprint, it's our food
I
print.
like it, yeah.
And today we really want to focus on kind of how we can reduce waste,
Okay.
or reuse some of those extras that we have in the kitchen. And we have so much available in the store, so much selection and
Yes.
offering, and we bring it home, and then the worst thing that we do is we throw away that good food that could have been eaten. So that's what we want to avoid today.
And my wife is sitting at home. If she's watching this right now, she's going, Chris never eats the leftovers. And I'm really bad about that. I don't mind eating leftovers. It's just you put it in the refrigerator after you finish that first meal, and you kind of forget about it sometimes.
Yes, and I think we're going to talk about how to get creative with leftovers
Okay.
today, because it doesn't mean you have to eat the same thing again.
Right.
And I think that's it.
You can rearrange it.
We can, yeah, recreate, get a little
Yes.
creative in there. And the other thing is, I don't know if you've had this moment, you go to the store, you're like, I'm gonna eat healthier, I'm gonna get all this fresh produce, and then by midway through the week, if it's not stored properly,
Right.
it's gonna start to maybe wilt, or you're gonna question, is this something good that I can
Yeah.
still consume? So this is a lot of tricks with water,
Okay.
and that's because that crunchy texture that we get from a lot of our vegetables especially actually comes from their water
Right.
amount. So storing them in the fridge in actually a little bit of water, especially things like celery, carrots, herbs is probably the #1 thing, because how often do you buy some fresh herbs
Yes.
to use a little bit of a garnish, 2 tablespoons, and you're like, is this just going to go back in the drawer and then I'm going to throw it away
Right,
later?
or if you get the basil and you're going to make one run of pesto and then there's a bunch left over,
That's
and
right.
it just goes to waste.
So if you're going to use it in the next few days, we call these little herb bouquets. These are
Okay.
perfect. They'll perk up. You can even put them on your counter. They work really well
Right.
in the fridge. Another thing that you can do, and I unfortunately left it in my freezer this morning, you can take these herbs, take them off, put a little bit of olive oil in an ice cube tray, and then put the herbs in there.
Oh, yeah.
So when you go
I've
to
seen that,
make your
yes.
next meal, you already are getting that aromatic flavor,
Right.
and that means you can make a little bunch last for a lot longer.
And I also, we had Raw Chef Jane on yesterday. She's big on dehydrating. You can dehydrate these and save them forever.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
And I think the other thing that happens, there is a natural process with browning
Yes.
of greens. And if you've ever gotten romaine, sometimes the bottom of this will start to go a little brown. You can actually just take a small knife,
Right.
strip that away a little bit, put it in water, and within 15 minutes in cold water, you're going to notice it actually perks right back up. So don't let that lettuce go to waste.
Yes.
And if you've cleaned it, it's in the fridge, putting it in a towel or a paper towel is actually going to help remove that moisture. And that's another thing that can make us think, oh, it's not good,
Right.
it's past that date of eating it. So those are some tips to kind of put some life back in those veggies.
Because you go in and Food City has amazing produce, and you go in there and they're taking care of that produce.
Yeah.
They're keeping it cool, they're keeping it wet, and that's what you need to do when you take it home with you.
That's
as well.
exactly right. And we mentioned avocados, which you're not a huge fan of from what I hear.
I can eat them.
But we struggle with
It's
them.
not like cucumbers. Raw cucumbers
That's
will not
that's
eat.
a no-go, yeah.
Avocado, I'll eat a bit.
We can play with that. They go brown though, and once
Yes,
you
they
cut
do.
them, you're only eating half. If you actually store it in an airtight container in some water, it will be weird. You'll kind of have to get the moisture off, but it will stay that bright green color. So that's a very simple, easy technique. And again, going back to that water. Now, let's say at the end of the week too, you have that whole weird smorgasbord of veggies.
Yes.
That maybe you're like, my family didn't eat it all. What
Right.
should I do with it?
Right.
Use those cooked vegetables and pair them with a pantry staple item that's not going to really go bad for a year plus, right?
Well, when we come back here in a little while, you're going to show us how to make that pasta primavera, and that's a great dish. I mean, you can use that as a side dish, you can use it as a meal, whatever you want to do with it.
Absolutely.
All right, Kirby Moir, thank you so much. If you want to learn more, check out foodcity.com. Find out they're picky about produce, how you can take that picky produce home with you today.